Now we will have a look at the excretory system, that is the kidneys. Okay. So now first thing we discuss about the excretory system is what is the basic unit for making the urine. Okay, that is the nephrons. So they are the main unit for urine formation. Okay, so the main unit for urine formation are the nephrons. Okay, now what is the funda about the nephrons? The funda about the nephrons is very simple. There is 1 to 1.3 million nephrons in each kidney. So approximately 1 to 1.3 million nephrons are present in each kidney. So 1 to 1.3. Okay. Now what are the various parts of the nephron and the kidney? Let's have a look. Okay. Now as we all know, kidney has two parts, cortex and medulla. So nephron will lie in either cortex or medulla. Okay. So to make a basic diagram of the nephron. So this is the structure I am making. Okay. So first is it lie in two parts, cortex and medulla. So these lines indicate the parts it is present in. The above half is the cortex part and the below is the medulla. Okay. So nephron lies in cortex and medulla both. Okay. Now this structure is Bowman's capsule. This is the PCT, as we all know. This is loop of Henle. This is the DCT, and that is what the special part we discuss is CCD and MCD. CCD is cortical collecting duct and MCD is medullary collecting duct. So these are the main parts of the nephron. So what structure lie in the cortex? The Bowman's capsule, PCT, DCT and cortical collecting duct. And what lies in medulla? Loop of Henle and the medullary collecting duct. Now as we know, the medullary ducts they will be combined and they form medullary pyramids. So they aggregate to form medullary pyramids. So they form the medullary pyramids, and the pyramids will then take the urine to which structure? They will take to the pelvis via minor and major calyces. This is an anatomy topic that they describe the anatomy of kidney. So just give you a basic idea. So pyramids will take the urine to calyces, and from callus it goes to pelvis and finally to ureter, then bladder and urethra. So that is the basic you can say diagram and the flow chart for explaining the nephron and how it is connected to urine passage. Now see here, the nephron is making urine and the last part of the nephron is collecting duct. Then there is only collection and you can say flow of urine out of the system. So that is why all the urine changes which occur, they occur in the collecting duct. So what is the final site of urine formation? That is CD. So write down, CD is last site for urine formation. So CD is last site for urine formation. So all the final urine changes occur in CD. Okay. So all the urine changes which are final, they occur in which part? They occur in the collecting duct. That means if I ask you what is making maximum urine, the answer is PCT. PCT is like the opening batsman, okay. So maximum runs are always scored by openers or the middle order, but who causes the winning of the match is a tail ender. So in the end, the one who hit sixes and make you win the match, although you make 10 run or maybe 5-6 run, he become the match winner because he is the last part. So who is that tail ender who's playing the last ball? That is the collecting duct. So that is why collecting duct is the one which decide all the final urine changes. Example: pH, volume, osmolarity, etc. So whatever changes occur, they all occur in which area? The collecting duct is the last side. So that is why very common question is, what is the final pH or volume decided? Collecting duct. That's why the hormones which regulate the urine act mainly where? In the collecting duct. Like which one? ADH, aldosterone, they all act in which area? Collecting duct is their site of action, okay. Then now we'll see how the blood supply is coming to the kidney. So first, what is the value? So right, renal blood flow, RBF, renal blood flow. So what is the value of RBF? It is 1250 ml per minute. 1250 ml per minute, okay, 1250, and it is approximately 25% of cardiac output. So that means 1/4 of cardiac output, CO, is going to which area? It is going to the kidney. How much? 1/4 is going to the kidney, okay. What is cardiac output normal? 5 liter per minute. So out of 5 liter, 25% kidney gets. So it's one of the most vascular organs in the body, okay. So we'll see how the blood supply is organized in the nephron, okay. So we'll see the organization of blood flow, okay. So we'll make a diagram showing that, okay. This is the nephron, okay. So again we will see the organization. First is, in this nephron, the blood supply is coming from the renal artery. So let us say this is renal artery, okay. It give multiple branches like the arcuate, interarcuate, lobular arteries. Then these branches will give a single afferent arteriole to each nephron. So it gives the afferent arteriole, okay. Now this afferent arteriole is going to in turn make a bunch or tuft of capillaries called as the glomerular capillary, GCs. This is the GC, glomerular capillary. Capillaries. Now these glomerular capillaries in turn will end up in another arteriole, okay. So they end up in another arteriole called as the efferent arteriole, okay. Now here pay attention, okay. The point is, you know, all the cells are supplied by some of the capillary. So the cells of the Bowman capsule, see, these podocytes would be supplied by which capillary? By the glomerular capillary. But are the cells present in PCT etc.? Yes. So the cuboidal cells of PCT or the cells of loop of Henle ascending, descending, DCT, so they are also cells, na? So do they require capillary? Yes. So that is why to supply them we will have another capillary to supply them, and this capillary is gonna surround all the nephrons in 3-dimensional manner. So this capillary is supplying all other cells, okay. So since it supply all the tubules, loop of Henle, PCT, DCT, all, it is called as the glomerular capillaries, okay. So the name given is glomerular capillary, sorry, peritubular capillaries, PC. So these capillaries are called as the peritubular. So what is peri means around, and tubular means obviously outside the tubular cells. So I can give an example. Let's say this glass of water is like the tubules containing the urine, and this red color cloth is like what? Is like the capillary. So it's surrounding it all direction like this. Okay. So that's why when you put, it will be a 3-dimensional wrapping. So that is why all the surface is covered by this capillary network called as peri, means around the tubule. So peritubular capillaries. Is it clear? Next is, and to show you in the actual term, what is this capillary like? It is like this. It is actually surrounding the tubule in all directions like this. Okay. But if I show, the visibility will be not good to explain the function, so I am not just going to show it now, I will just be focusing on this part only. Okay. So next we see is, what do these capillary end up in? So they will end up in venules, venule will end up in other veins, clear, the same reverse order, and finally the renal vein. So the last structure we will see is the renal vein. Okay. So renal vein is the last structure we would be having. Okay. So let's summarize the blood supply. The blood comes from renal artery, which give multiple branches, then each nephron get one afferent arteriole which give glomerular capillary in connection to the Bowman capsule, then efferent arteriole give other capillaries called as peritubular capillary. The capillary end in the venules give the veins end up in ultimately the renal vein. Okay. So now comes the question about the glomerular capillaries. Okay. The glomerular capillaries are one of the most permeable capillaries in the body. In fact, some book give them as the main, and some book give liver as the most permeable. So technically yes, liver are the most permeable capillaries, but they are also very permeable. So they are very permeable, in fact most permeable in kidney, most permeable capillaries due to openings between the endothelial cells, due to openings called as what things? Fenestrations. So there are spaces between the capillary cells and these spaces, let us say these are the cells. Okay. So these spaces which I highlight with the yellow color, they are called as what? Fenestrations. So what happens? Anything which is small enough can easily cross these fenestrations. So that is why what they do? They allow filtration of the plasma based on size of the object. So that is why what function these capillaries perform? So function is they cause filtration. So that is why function is filtration of plasma on mainly size basis. I am writing mainly, not only, that means they can also be having another criteria also. Okay, on mainly size basis. So we will discuss the filtration later. Right now remember mainly what basis? Size basis. Is it clear? Mainly size basis. Now there is a problem with filtration on size basis. Why? A good thing can be small in size also, big in size also. So size is not a criteria for requirement of a subject. So that is why if a substance is good or bad, that is not on size basis, that is on the function basis. So that is why what it will filter? Good things, bad things, or both? Obviously both. So as a result, both good solutes. So both good solutes, example glucose, amino acids, etc., and bad solutes which are waste, example which ones? Example, let us say urea, uric acid, etc., are filtered. So that is one major issue with filtration. It does not discriminate. it will lead to a filtration and loss of every possible substance, good things also and bad things also. So if you are filtering bad things, they will be out of plasma in the urine, so that is one very good advantageous thing. But if you are filtering good things like glucose, it will be lost in urine, and that is a loss to the body. So that is why, to compensate, we have wrapped glomerular capillary for filtration and we have wrapped peritubular capillary for this particular function. So let me make it in the diagram form. So let's say the filtration, let's say you are filtering urea, uric acid. So as they are filtered, they would be out of what? Out of the plasma into the urine. But you also filter good things such as glucose, sodium chloride, water, amino acids, etc. So these good things are also getting filtered out, and this is a major loss to our body. So that is why, to compensate, we will take all this substance back to the blood via the tubular cells, and this is the process called as reabsorption. And who will do the reabsorption? Peritubular capillary cells. So the function they will do, first they do reabsorption of good solutes, okay. What is the direction? Direction is, it is tubule to PC, okay. So direction is tubules to PC, that is from urine to blood. So anything which you pick up from urine obviously must be a good thing or required thing. So that's why direction is from tubules to the PC, called as reabsorption, okay, fine. So if you filter, you have good and bad both coming in the urine, but as you reabsorb the good things, they would be now going where? Going into the blood bag. Only what is left now? Urea and metabolic waste. So if you filter, reabsorb, all the waste would be removed from the plasma. But one problem is there. When you filter, do you think every metabolic waste would be filtered immediately? No. Large amount of substances will escape filtration. So that is why the unfiltered, let's say this is a urea, I'll zoom in. So this urea which was filtered will not be all filtered, and some urea escape filtration and enter which capillary? The peritubular capillary, okay. So that's why, what do the peritubular capillaries contain? So I don't, PC contain unfiltered solutes. So where are the unfiltered solutes present? In the PC. So if you wait a long time for them to be removed by filtration again, it will be a very long process. Why? They would be undergoing what process? All the way they go to the renal vein, then from the vein they will go to the vena cava, then the right heart, then the lung, then the left, then the aorta. It will be such a long time, you might have accumulation of waste. So that's why we have a shortcut also. The shortcut is, you can directly throw them into the urine from the peritubular capillary, and this is called as a secretion. So that's why we have a third process added, that is called as secretion. So who will do the secretion? Again, peritubular capillary. It does the secretion of metabolic waste, here is waste solutes of waste. Direction of secretion is PC to tubule. So you are going in what direction? You are going from peritubular capillary, that is blood, to urine. So that is why anything which move from urine to blood is a good thing, and anything which move from blood to urine is a metabolic waste product, okay. So that is why it's going in the reverse direction. Is it clear? Fine. So let's summarize. So what are the 3 steps we do for urine formation? So first is you filter, this is filtration F. Now good things you reabsorb, that is R, and waste you secrete, that is S. So what are the three steps in urine formation? Filter, reabsorb and secrete. Okay. So urine formation is the process in which we can say we are also doing what? We are cleaning the plasma. So same as plasma clearance. So what are the process of urine formation? They are same as plasma clearance. So urine formation is same as plasma. Why? When you make the urine, the plasma get cleaned. So that's why it's called as a plasma clearance, that is removal of waste. And what is the waste part of plasma called as urine? So same thing. First is filtration. So we will do filtration. Second is reabsorption. And third is secretion. Third is secretion. Okay. So filtration, reabsorption and secretion. Okay. So filtration, reabsorption and secretion. Okay. Now filtration is a glomerular function. Filtration is a glomerular function, where these two are tubular function performed by the peritubular capillaries and the tubular cells. So that is why in kidney there are two primary function, filtration and the tubular and secretion. Now one question is, okay, if there is a problem in filtration, that means you are not able to filter, it's called as glomerular diseases, like the nephritis, glomerulonephritis, so called as glomerular diseases. Okay. Example is all the defects in the glomerular membrane, like the post streptococcal glomerulonephritis or rapid progressive glomerulonephritis or any kind of nephrotic syndrome, etc. Okay. And any problem with the tubules are called as tubular disorders. Example, some will I will also discuss, like Fanconi syndrome, Barter's syndrome, etc. So there are two kind of disorders in kidney, glomerular disorders and tubular disorders. Okay. Here we have mainly glomerulonephritis and here we have mainly syndromes. Okay. Gitelman, Lindau syndrome. So various syndromes are there in the tubular disorders. Okay. Now as I told you, all the kidney is supplied by which capillary? Yes, all the kidney is supplied by the glomerular capillary and peritubular capillary. Now except the Bowman capsule, that is by glomerular, rest all are supplied by what? Peritubular capillaries. So let's see a statement, right? So loop of Henle is supplied by branch of PC called as vasa recta. Okay. Vasa recta. Okay. So what is vasa recta? It is the branch of PC which is supplying what? The loop of Henle. Okay. So it is in medulla. It is in medulla. Okay. Number next is the interstitial cells of PC. So interstitial cells of PC, they release EPO, that is erythropoietin. So they release EPO, that is erythropoietin. Okay. They release EPO, that is erythropoietin. Okay. Erythropoietin. Okay. Fine. Erythropoietin. Okay. In anemia and hypoxia. And what does this hormone do? Obviously it causes erythropoiesis, that is increase RBC production. So that's why it's a very important hormone which is correcting the anemias and hypoxias. Okay. Fine. And is it making all? No. Around 70% of EPO. So 70% EPO from kidneys and around 30% come EPO from liver also. So that's why we have renal and extra renal source of the EPO. Around 70% we can say kidney, 30 is from liver. Okay. Now, if there is a kidney disorder like CKD, what happens? There is decreased EPO because of what? Destruction of the renal tissue, and decreased EPO cause anemia of chronic kidney disease. So, that is why decreased EPO can cause the anemia in this case. Okay, fine.